Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
You're watching Our Talk. I'm Jujhar Singh. This week we have the brilliant young flutist Rakesh Chaurasia. He's one of the best flute players in India. He's got to be. He's the disciple and nephew of the living legend Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia. Hi Rakesh, what a fantastic surname you have.
Thank you so much.
And I must say you've lived up to that surname. And you also, by the way, resemble your uncle a great deal.
A little bit, yeah. A lot of people have
Little
told me.
bit. Quite a lot.
I wish I could have played that way.
I think you're pretty much on your way over there. But so how did it all begin? I believe you were 4 years old when Hariji started teaching you the flute.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was too small, Hariji used to practice a lot, and I used to stay with him when I was a kid. And the sound of the flute was there in my ear, and I used to love the sound. And once the whole family was sitting in a small gathering, and he just came and asked, anybody want to learn any instrument, let me know. So I was the one who just picked my hand up and said, yes, me. And he asked, which instrument? So I didn't know the name also. So I said, the instrument what you play. And that second, he brought me a small flute and he gave it to me. And that's the day.
And that's how the initiation started.
Yeah.
I believe you were a child prodigy, in fact.
Well, I believe so, yeah.
I also hear that when you were 8 or 9 years old, your uncle Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma, Yash Chopra and Amitabh Bachchan, all of them were together composing, for this film Silsila.
Right.
And they all made you cry. What happened?
From where you got to know that?
It happened?
Yeah, well, we had a class, like normally, generally, every Sunday we used to have a class. And after the class, there was a sitting in, I think, Yash Chopra's house. And so he took me with me. You want to come? I went. And there was a rehearsal of Amitabh ji doing that Rang Barse. And I was just sitting quietly. So he asked, who's this boy? So he told that he's my son and he learns flute. So does he play? He said, yes, he plays. Then he told me, you have to play in his own voice, you have to play for me. And I was, first of all, Amitabh Bachchan and telling me to play on his dynamic voice, and I was, started crying. He says, okay, I don't want to fear. Whenever you're in mood, let me know. Then we'll listen to you.
So you weren't able to play for them on that occasion?
No, not definitely.
But as you grew up, you must have practiced very hard because I believe Hariji is obsessive about practice.
Well, yeah, he still tells us, if somebody asks him how much to practice, till you go to bed, from the time you get up, you have to practice if you're not doing anything. That's the only thing for him, practice, practice, practice.
No, you're talking about him right now.
Him, yeah.
So even now, he's still practicing.
Still practicing.
Right up till the time he goes to bed.
What I think personally, he practiced for all his students. What I think, definitely.
He practices for all his students.
Definitely. So much he practiced.
Somewhere I heard that, in fact, he's so obsessive about it, and like you said, he's still practicing that even now, he's constantly holding the flute. Even when he's watching television, the flute is in his hand. Something like that?
You know a lot of things about flutists. He does that. He must be watching some action movie and he keeps on practicing. In fact, in the plane, in the train, anywhere, while traveling also.
He's obviously been a great teacher. I mean, how did he teach you?
My personal experience, he is the best teacher on this earth. The way he taught all his students. And he never shouted at anybody. Never.
And you still listened?
Yeah. I mean, he's the only guy who I'm afraid of, Previously, it was like, because he's such a big family member. And then slowly, the respect came through. So that fear is always there. And I look him like a god because I have never seen Krishna personally. So for me, he's my Krishna.
Eventually, of course, you started accompanying him on stage as well.
Yeah.
And now, of course, you're a great solo artist yourself.
Well,
he must be proud of you.
He's proud of me, yeah. And
what does he say to you and about your flute playing?
Well, nowadays he started saying that, well, I was there in so-and-so country and so-and-so city, and you have played there and people were praising you. That's very good. Keep it up. So I said, it's your blessings, as usual. So
let's talk about the flute a little bit now. It's, of course, Lord Krishna's instrument, which is what makes it very special as an instrument.
Definitely. From the time I have seen the flute, I have seen Hariji, my uncle Babuji, as I call him, playing the flute. But I've heard a lot about Krishna when he speaks on stage. So Krishna was so clever at that time, to choose such an instrument which doesn't need any tuning. It doesn't have any skin, it doesn't have any keys, and you can play this instrument anywhere. You can practice it anywhere, maybe on the mountains, and nowadays on your terrace, on your balcony or anywhere, and it's not going to disturb anybody. Just imagine if you're playing trumpet in the morning or playing drums. So what happens to your neighbor? So he always used to praise that Lord Krishna was so intelligent and so smart to choose such an instrument, which is romantic, at the same time it's so serene, and it can be serious at the same time. And
it's obviously one of the oldest instruments in the country.
Well, I think, yeah, definitely. I think this and shank gong, what we call shank, which has a natural sound. And then somebody slowly took it off from the bamboo tree and made some holes, because I believe the insects used to make small holes in this instrument. And when the wind used to blow across, there was a lot of harmonic sound with like 100 of bamboos coming out. So I think there where somebody have discovered this instrument, there is a sound in this bamboo. What is this? So maybe he'd cut some, and maybe the same hole, he made it a little bigger and wider, and tried to blow and got a sound.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, since this is Lord Krishna's instrument, why don't you play us something, you know, some composition which is dedicated to him?
Sure, definitely.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I just played a devotional rag known as Raga Des in a small composition.
I once read Swami CHINMAYANANDA explain the spiritual significance of Krishna's flute. He said, the 7 holes of the flute represent the 5 senses of the body. The 6th hole is the mind. The 7th hole is the intellect. And when the Lord blows the wind of consciousness through these holes, the melody of life is created.
You're right. Yeah, definitely. As you can see, there's the 6 holes of the body, which we place all these 3 fingers in here and 3 fingers here. And 1 we use for blowing.
First, the basics. It's made of bamboo, 6 playing holes, 1 blowing hole.
And it's closed from one side.
But obviously, it's not a stringed instrument, so it can't be tuned. Right. But then how is it tuned? Is it tuned by the instrument maker?
Yeah, it's normally systematically it's tuned from the 440, what we say, the 440 tonic. And to increase the pitch, a little upper high, they make the holes a little bigger and bigger. And if they want to make it flat a little bit, they close the holes here.
And how long is your flute? And what's the difference between a longer flute and a smaller flute? Well,
this question everybody asks, but it is also a flute. Like in Western, you call it piccolo. And the small flute is called, silver flute is called a piccolo. Well, it have a different character altogether. Like when we play the bass flute, it's a lot of serene, and as we have a lot of mood of ragas. We have sentimental raga, we have romantic raga, we have devotional ragas, we have serious ragas. So serious ragas, romantic raga, we play on this bass flute. And when we do some light pieces like Pahadi Dhun, this kind of thing, then we use a small flute. I can show you.
Yeah,
that's different in size. Now, if I play the bass flute, it will sound.
Okay, now the same thing in that would be how? I think the difference is very obvious.
Very obvious.
If you have a long and a sort of fatter flute, you get a sort of deeper pitch. And if you have a short and slimmer flute, you get a higher pitch.
Right, and it's resemble more of like a farmer playing, playing on the cow, and typical like a folk instrument. So definitely you can't play any serious thing in this. So that's why the classical is played on the bass flute. So you can really take care of
this longer, sort of fatter bass flute, I presume, is probably more difficult to play.
Definitely, yeah. You need nice and good, strong lungs to blow that instrument. As we play for hours and hours on stage, and when we practice, so it needs a lot of breath. The deeper flute needs a lot of breath in that thing. So no smoking.
I also believe the flute is very difficult to play as an instrument. What makes it so difficult to play?
Well, every instrument is difficult till you don't able to play it. But once you're able to play an instrument, the difficult part in the instrument that first of all you have to create a sound, then the music. So the sound, it's difficult to create in this music because in this instrument, because when you blow from the blowing hole, your 50% air should go inside and 50% outside. So their measurement comes like if you are not correct, it will sound this way. Somewhere you get it, somewhere you don't get it. So we practice a lot, so as soon as we put
So you have to blow at the correct angle.
correct angle.
Yeah. And correct velocity also.
Yeah, and the secondary, the holes, what we do, you can see this. It's look easy, and it's as we call major notes and minor notes. Shuddh and Komal Sur. For the Komal Sur, we have to lift our fingers half exactly. So it will sound like all fingers have to be accurate 50%. If it is more, this is called out of tune. So for this we have to practice a lot because when you play fast phrases, it have to be exactly half note covered. If I play the full note, this is all technical thing.
This is so fascinating, though. Rakesh, in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, Pandit Pannalal Ghosh, a disciple of Baba Alauddin Khan, played a big role in sort of converting the flute from being a folk instrument to a classical instrument. And then came your uncle and guru, Pandit Prasad Chaurasia, and he's taken the flute to a whole new level. How would you describe his contribution to the flute?
Well, when he came in, he has the strong thing was his blowing was completely different. It has natural depth. With the blowing, you can say, oh, this is Hariji.
Okay, why don't you show us what you mean? Meaning what?
Well, I don't have that blow, but it was, very thick, very bold, strong.
If we give a more bass sound?
Bass sound. What he has natural. Solid lungs, as you can see. But normally, if we are playing, we will be doing this one. When he'll push it, it will be. Strong
more
blowing.
Power, fullness,
Very
and
powerful.
bass.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
And on the mic, it sounds like giant. So that was the major difference what he brought. And then jhala, what we call the tonguing. Of the in English flute, they do it tonguing, and we call it jhala. When he used to say that the sitar, sarod people, they're playing jhala on stage, and the flute are not doing it. So he started doing it, and it came this way.
And this must have helped to establish it as a classical instrument.
Definitely. And he is the one who's still doing a lot of experimenting.
Rakesh, I'll tell you what, let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll talk about the music you've created at concerts, also for CDs and Bollywood. We'll also hear some more magic on the flute. We'll be right back on our talk.